Jade, I appreciate you being on the podcast. Thank you very much. Tell me, how's your day been going so far today?
Thank you for having me. It's going good. In real estate, there's always up and down days, roller coaster days. Today has definitely been a roller coaster type day, but overall, pretty good.
My gosh, I'm glad you say that because I'm new to the real estate world. I've been with Sub Two for about maybe since April officially. I thought it was February at first, but I looked and it's April is when I actually paid and joined 100%.
Yeah.
But I have a W-2 job, and when I first joined, I kind of heard your name little by little, and slowly you're kind of becoming like this legend that I heard about. This girl who closes amazingly.
That's so funny.
Well, so I love that you're here. But for me and for the people who are listening as well, for those who don't know you well, what's something about yourself you can share? What's your W-2 job and a little fun fact too?
Yeah. I don't have a W-2, so I am a licensed realtor in Texas, and I still do a little bit of the traditional side, but most of my day in and day out is just investing. So our business model is direct to agent on market low equity. So that's what most of my days are, is just talking to agents all day.
That's crazy. Right now with my W-2, I work in the electric utility business, and it's 8 to 5 job basically, Monday
Yeah.
through Friday kind of thing. I do get to work from home Mondays and Fridays, but it's it's kind of hard thinking about being able to invest full time every day. I can't wait to get to that point.
Yeah.
But why with you've been in real estate for a while because you're a realtor. So why traditional or creative? Why'd you choose one or the over the other?
I'll say that I don't think I've chosen one or over the other. I think it's more having tools in your tool belt, right? So traditional is pretty black and white. Everybody knows what that is, but there's scenarios and situations with sellers where that traditional just doesn't work, right? It just might not be the best option. So I think of it as just having a tool belt, and creative finance is just another tool in there. So something else I can offer a seller, right? If traditional is not going to work for them, then creative will. So I just think of adding it to the tool belt instead of replacing it.
That's awesome. I gotta say, when I first joined, I learned about this thing called avatars, which is a certain method of various methods of how to get your contracts and how to reach out to people. And you kind of mentioned one right now. When I first learned it, kind of blew my mind. I was like, "What do you mean direct to seller? What do you mean direct to seller integrator? What do you mean direct to agent? What are your thoughts on all that? Well, just in general, what are your thoughts?"
Yeah, I think that the idea itself is super helpful because I think when you're coming into the investing side of real estate, it can be really hard to find your place, right? And I think the most common thing for people to think they have to do is, oh, I have to go cold call or I have to go knock on some stranger's door. And that just doesn't fit everyone's personality type, right? But that doesn't mean that real estate's not for you, because there are so many roles in real estate, and every single one of those roles need to be filled to for a transaction to go through. So I think the idea of having avatars and having someone figure out what avatar fits their personality and their goals the best is very valuable.
That's awesome. I struggle trying to figure mine out. And when I talk to people who are brand new to Sub 2, people who just want to know how to navigate and how to figure things out and what path to take.
Yeah.
I just tell them the truth that I did. Pick a kind of path, kind of like Pay says, and kind of go with it. But it really does depend on your personality type. So for you, what was that thing that made you be like, I can talk to a realtor all day, kind of thing?
I think I've always been pretty decent at talking to people. I've never had an issue, right? Like, I'm not really a shy person. Talking to people, talking to strangers doesn't freak me out or anything. And I've been in real estate for several years. So whenever I first got in, I mean, I just did that, right? So I think after I did it so much, it's just natural to me. It's just what I do. And especially being on the traditional side and talking to buyers and sellers and other agents all the time, it's just second nature to me at this point. So
Nice.
being on the phones and talking to realtors is just fits me well.
That's awesome. You seem real natural. Right now you seem real calm too. So it's like perfect. Out
Yeah, yeah.
of curiosity, did you try any of the other avatars?
Yeah, I mean, I so we do mainly direct to agent. We still do a little direct to seller. Whenever I started in real estate, everything I did was direct to seller. So when I first got started, I would actually handwrite little letters and send them to sellers and wait for them to call me. And so I most of my experience was just going direct to seller, and I still
Mm.
really love that model. Um, what was your question? I'm sorry. I forgot what you asked me.
The question was, have you done any of the other avatars?
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, direct to seller. Sorry.
You're good.
Anything besides that? No. I don't. I don't really care for paperwork. I'm not an integrator or anything like that. So no, just direct to seller and direct to agent.
Nice. Real quick, you made me remember. For those people who may not know, since I'm gonna try and gear this toward people who are newer to the Subto community, I've got it right here. I'm gonna list some of these just so they can kind of hear them. But like 19 of them, there's a direct to seller
Hmm.
visionary, direct to seller integrator, direct to seller, direct to agents, direct to referral partner, closer, Lonza method, unicorn agents, transaction coordinator. That's the paperwork.
Yep.
Transaction. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. Yeah, yeah. I was agreeing with you.
Then we got the micro flipper or Astro JV person, hunter, bird dog, gator lender, private money lender, capital raiser, helper, cash buyer, connector, leader, and someone to work for, or I work for someone basically.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's important that you don't have to choose just one avatar, right? I mean, maybe when you're getting started, you do just solely choose one and focus on that, but eventually you're going to branch out and be multiple avatars. You're not made to just be one single thing forever. You can branch off and do multiple things in the industry, and I think that's really cool.
I agree. The more we can branch out, that's how we're going to be able to spread out and do our thing and just broaden ourselves more for sure. Because each one of those things has, each one of those avatars has its own particular set of skills. Well,
Yeah, exactly.
with that list, as crazy as it sounds, as hardcore as it sounds sometimes, with all these random names that some people may not know, it kind of sounds like a horror story, right? Trying to figure out where to do it, how to figure it out. But do you have any kind of horror stories before you became a realtor, or even in the Subto world so far?
Like with transactions.
Just in general.
I have I guess what I would call a horror story transaction. Whenever it first got started, let me see, I think this was my third deal ever. I had sent a letter and got this deal under contract and spent weeks and weeks showing it. It was a little harder to assign. And so I spent a lot of time going over there, showing the property to potential buyers. Finally found one the day of closing. I suddenly didn't hear anything from anyone,
Mm.
and I end up I got a hold of the seller and I'm like, hey, I don't know what's going on here, but let's renew our contract. I'll go find you another buyer. She's like, okay, cool. She calls me like an hour or two later. Hey, I'm really sorry, but the buyers reached out to me directly and said they'd give me more money. So I'm gonna just go with them. So the buyer went, yeah, right around me and closed the deal. So that was pretty rough.
That is terrible. I don't even want to. I can't imagine what you were feeling. I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure you
gosh,
wanted.
I
I'm
I
pretty sure you
cried.
wanted.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I cried. Yeah, being my third deal, it was super discouraging, but all in all, just a lesson.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I mentioned mine. So I don't think I have any horror stories yet. I'm kind of waiting for him. I'm kind of waiting for the guy, the seller, just to you just pick up the phone and just cuss me out and be angry with me and all this and that, or door knocking. So mine, the avatars I'm working with so far is mainly direct to seller right now, and I'm kind of switching a little bit over to direct to seller integrator, where I'm working with systems with the team here
Mm,
in the Fort Worth area. But lately, I try to focus on direct to seller, where I call people and just talk to them, see what they say. So far, nothing terrible. People answer. Some phone calls they don't go through. Some are dead. You know the hassle.
yep.
Door knocking hasn't been terrible either. No threats, no dogs, nothing terrible yet. Maybe I'm with the wrong houses, but maybe I'm
Yeah,
lucky. Maybe I'm lucky too.
it'll
Um,
happen. Just wait.
Next time I talk to you, I'll try and have a good horror story so I can tell you.
Yep.
Talking about horror stories on the opposite side. So what's been your favorite experience so far working in the creative real estate world?
My favorite experience. I mean, I think that with creative, my favorite thing in general is just to see these transactions be a win-win-win, right? A lot of people, I think, when you hear subject to, they're like, why would a seller ever do that? And in
Right.
reality, all the ones we're closing, the seller is like, thank you so much for doing this, right? They're grateful. They needed that option. We closed one. I told the story on my Instagram today. It was actually a zero down deal, and people might react to that and say, "Why would a seller ever sell their house for $0?" Right? Well, the seller was extremely grateful to give us her house for $0 because she was in pain, right? She couldn't make that payment anymore. She couldn't keep up with that house anymore. She just wanted to move into a small apartment and be done with it. So she was more than happy to give us the house for $0. So I think that that's just my favorite thing. One of my favorite stories is this is to help the sellers and to help us. So just creating those win wins.
It's amazing how people go from having those thick walls that they don't want to hear it. They say it's illegal. They say it's never been done, this and that. And then on the other side, you have the complete opposite. They're grateful. They're happy. They're like, let's do this again later on or show me something different.
Yep. Yep.
It's an amazing feeling. I guess with that said, do you have any kind of failures you've had anytime recently that you learned like a good hard lesson from? Or even on the opposite side, you have a great success story like this one that you can share a bit more. Like what was her pain out of curiosity?
What was her pain? It was just the fact that she had purchased this house and she was a younger girl and it was her first house. I think she bought a house that was way too big for her. And I think once
Oh,
she got in there, she realized, oh, I have to maintain this house. I have to mow the yard. I have to pay all these utilities, right? Like it was just like reality hit. And then she's also like, oh, this mortgage payment is more than I was paying in rent. I don't think I was ready for this, just all that. And it just kind of came
mm,
crashing down on her. So she needed to get out.
that's crazy. So it's something as simple as them thinking they can take that next step, which is good to take the next step, but not really thinking it through at times, or just
Yeah.
overthinking it maybe. But that's a
Yeah.
that's a crazy thing. Something so simple can cause that the biggest change in their lives and all that. Um,
Exactly.
Talking about that in terms of success and all that, people define success differently, right? Like this girl you helped out, her success story was you helping her out so she can get out of that headache, get away from that pain, and go move on with her life. How do you define success for yourself?
Um, it's a deep question. I think that success can mean many things. I think that I see achieving financial freedom as success. I see, taking care of my family financially and taking them on trips. I'm really big on traveling. So like that's like a dream of mine is just to go travel everywhere and not have to worry about it, right? Not stress out about those payments or go send my parents on a trip and send them across the country for a month
Mm,
and not worry about it, right? That's success to me is being able to provide value, give back to the people around me and not have to stress about it, right? Like I'm good. I can give as much as I want to give to everyone around me. So that's what I would say success is.
that's awesome. That's kind of like mine as well. I want to be able to be the person in the family who brings the value, who lets somebody else know that, hey, just because there was a bad decision that's made in the past doesn't mean you're stuck there. I can help
Yeah.
out. I can bring something to you, and not just the money, but like you say, the vacation times. Because that hopefully, if
Yeah.
I do what I'm trying to do, I'll be able to do what you're saying. Help retire my family. Help get them to the point where we don't have to think about it, and we can get to a higher level of living that really just makes our lives not just financially free, but you can spend time working on yourself, read the books you really want, go to the gym as
Yeah.
much as you want, eat the food you want as much as sometimes we shouldn't.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think a good example is I went to community camp a month ago now, and everyone did this auction. I forgot how much money they raised, like 150 grand or something, donating to child trafficking. And that was
Yeah.
just so powerful, right? Like I would love to just write a check for 100 grand and not think twice of it to a place like that, a cause like that. So that means a lot to me. And that's definitely a huge goal of mine is to get to that point where I can do those things.
I totally agree. And you reminded me, I forgot that Tim Ballard was there as well.
He was.
That movie he made was hugely impactful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It cheers you up no matter who you are. I don't care what people say.
It does. And he told us that they're releasing another one either the end of this year or beginning of next year. So I'm like, it's really good. I think that the world needs that awareness as hard as it is to watch. It's needed.
So true. I was at work and I was talking to somebody about that movie, and we'll go back to real estate here in a second. But we were talking about that movie, and someone says, "I don't want to watch that. It's too harsh. It's too terrible." And I was like, "Don't just ignore it just because something's hard. You have to be
Yeah,
aware and educated about it so you can make something different about it." But
exactly.
it's just I guess it's a mind shift, a paradigm shift that people like to say.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. One thing I do want to mention. So on my side, goal wise, I'm doing this is another podcast I'm working on. This one right here is called Subto My Life. So if I can talk to people who are good at creative finance and just real estate world and things like that, and help people out who are getting into this world and maybe navigate a little better. The other
yeah,
podcast I'm making is called Breaking Chains. I call it Breaking Chains because I'm gearing it towards health, specifically men's mental health. And that's basically making sure that a lot of us guys sometimes feel like we can't talk about things or open up, and not just that, but be able to know that it's okay to open up and that people can accept us no matter what.
yep,
Like that movie we saw, that kind of shows me that men can go hugely two different ways where we can stay as evil as possible and still impact the world. We can be really good. So if we can find a way to educate ourselves a little bit more and find ourselves like a brotherhood community, then the better it is that we'll make that world. Because no matter what, we impact it. However, you know what I mean?
yep.
I don't know.
I
I don't
love
know if I
that.
explained it perfectly, but on another podcast,
No,
you'll hear more.
I love that. I love that idea. I think that's extremely important for just to spread that awareness and bring that community together. I think that's needed.
Yes, definitely is. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot of different skill sets. But talk about skill sets. What are some of the skill sets that you've developed so far since you started in the real estate world, and how do you think they've attributed to your success?
I would say the biggest thing is communication. I think being just communicating in all aspects, right? I mean, that's the entirety of the business is communication, right? Learning how to communicate on a podcast, learning how to communicate to the title companies, learning how to communicate to the seller and to the realtor. So I think that's something that I'm constantly trying to improve and something that I have
Mm,
improved quite a bit over the years. And still, I don't think that you're ever going to be perfect at that, right? There's always improvement in your communication. That's something that is really important to me is just getting better and better at my communication skills. So that's something that I have worked on over the years and I'm still working on.
yeah, I think that's kind of endless, right? The more we grow, the more
Yeah,
we're gonna have to communicate in different ways. It's like
exactly.
it's like learning someone's language anytime you do something new, whether it's real estate, whether it's electric utility, whether it's whatever it is. Making sure you
Yeah,
speak their language to be able to communicate as best as possible. In terms of communication, that kind of falls in line with teamwork, right? And that's something that Pace always says, and everybody else is always saying too. Squatting up.
yeah.
How does teamwork or squatting up play a big role in your day to day life? And how would you say it helps your success?
Oh my gosh. I have to give a backstory for this. So I joined Sub 2 in, I think, April of last year.
Mhm.
And I did not squad up with people. I was actually really bad at that all the way up until January of this year, maybe December
Oh
or
wow,
January. Yeah, I was bad.
I,
And
I wouldn't have guessed that.
yeah, it was, I don't know. I think it was like a mental barrier that I had to break. So it was just, I don't know, maybe feeling like I had to do it on my own or that I needed to have things figured out before I could go squat with people, right? I think a lot of people think like that. And so I made that mistake. And finally, in either December or January, I started squatting up with people. And it's like things
Mm,
just took off like a rocket ship from there. I mean, that was just the change in everything. I've squatted up with several different people in Sub 2, and it's those relationships are so valuable, right? I've learned so much from each individual person, each individual deal we've done together. I've been on the team for, oh my gosh, since February, March, something like that. And we just it's took a while for us to gain some traction, and in the past few months, we've just been working on systems and working on structure, and our team has just gained so much traction, and we're really taking off right now. So I think teamwork is extremely important, right? Because in our team, it allows us to focus on what we're good at. So they're not asking me to go underwrites. They're not asking me to dispo the deals. They're not asking me to be the integrator and set up all these systems for our business, right? I don't need to do all that. There's someone in our team that is good at those things and does that. I get to focus on closing the deals, talking to the agents, and lead follow up, which is what I'm good at. So I think teamwork is really good to bring out your strengths, and then whatever weaknesses you have a team member that helps you with that. So, so powerful.
It is. So I have two follow-up questions on this one, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious. So you were by yourself for a good while. What was that? What was that shift in your mind that you're like, you know what? I'm not doing this by myself. Or what was that moment you just made sure that you're like, I'm gonna go work with somebody?
A
Or
couple
what?
things. There's a couple things. So at the time that I joined and I was working alone, I also had a W-2 at the time. So I had a W-2 at a mortgage company, and then I also was a real
Oh,
estate agent. I was actually doing a lot of volume in that time period. So
mhm.
my time was limited for one. I was so busy doing that, and like at late at night, I would come home and try to do like SMS campaigns by myself and that type of thing. So I think for one, I got burnt out, and after months of doing that, I was like, this obviously isn't working. It's time to pivot. And then on top of that, it was kind of perfect timing because at the end of November, the mortgage company laid me off because interest rates are crazy. We didn't have enough customers coming in to support full
Oh man.
staff. So I got laid off, and honestly, I was like, this is so cool. I'm going to go join a team. I'm diving all in. Like, I was ready to go. So it was really just that months of
Wow.
saying, hey, this isn't working, and also saying, I have all the time in the world. Let's go squat up with some people that know what they're doing.
So it was a blessing in disguise, basically.
For sure.
Nice. That's awesome to hear things like that. When things seem like they're going bad, but it flips up and you're like, look at
Yeah,
the sky, nice and bright.
exactly. Yeah.
Would you like to shout out your teammates or your team
Yeah.
members?
Yeah. There's quite a bit of us, but I work directly with Myron and Carolyn Briley. They are amazing leaders in Texas. They're out of the Dallas area, so they have a power hour
Mhm.
and a monthly meetup. You guys, if anyone's in that area, definitely go to that. There's so many people on our team that are great. We have a great underwriter, James. He does amazing, and then we have several callers on our team that do great job at generating leads every day. So really love our
Nice.
team.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'll be going to their meeting this coming Tuesday, I think it is. Here in
Exciting.
So about you,
I haven't gone to one.
I was about to ask, so when are you gonna come over here?
I'm
You gotta
trying
start
to.
talking.
Yeah, I actually that's one of my goals that I'm working on right now is I want to purchase a house creatively close around the Dallas area. So by December 1st is my goal. So I'm trying to nail down a house and go move over there so I can be at all the events and go to Power Hour and do all the things.
Well, hell, since we're doing this live, what's your buy box? Let's see if people are gonna watch this. Let's let them have it.
Yeah, so anywhere around like northern Dallas area, like Richardson, Mesquite, somewhere over there on the map, right? I don't want a huge house, probably under 1,500 square feet, 1,000 to 1,500 is all I
Okay.
need. What else? What else? It has to be creative. It has to be on terms, under 5% interest rates. I need it by December 1st, under 10% entry fee. Yeah, that's what I'm
Pools,
looking for.
solar, no? Uh-huh.
Solar, I don't know. I don't know that I'm a huge fan of solar.
Okay. Your eyes lit up when I said pool, though. So pool probably.
Oh my gosh. Pool, I would love a pool. I don't know if I want to maintain a pool, but I
Well,
love
so
the idea
community
of it.
pool, community pool. Then
Community pool, I'm all for that. Yeah. Let someone else take care of it.
that's awesome. Well, for the people listening, there's the buy box. and help her out.
Yeah, bring me deals.
I live over here in Fort Worth. I'm kind of
Okay.
in the Saginaw area. Nice little spot, but North Dallas is kind of a hot spot too. So you'll love it there. There's a lot
Yeah,
going on. A lot of the meetings are there too for almost everything.
exactly. That's why I want to be over there. But I don't know if this is official yet or if I'm overstepping, but Myron does have an idea to create a power hour in Fort Worth soon as well. So that might be coming that direction to kind of bring in the people that don't want to drive as far.
I'm hoping it does because I've been to this power before, but it's a good hour and a half for me with traffic and everything. So it's a little difficult sometimes, and especially because it's
Yeah,
during work hours too. I can't always take Friday off like that.
yeah, for sure.
But those are awesome. I still say. Um, Real quick, I guess we'll move on to this little section I have just for fun called rapid fire. And this is where I'm just
Okay,
gonna ask you a few questions, and you'll say, like if I say blue or yellow, you just say your favorite thing, blue, whatever it is.
okay.
So for here, I'm gonna say theater or movies at home.
Movies at home.
Comfy and cozy. That's the way to do it.
Yep,
Car or truck.
truck.
Nice. Yeah, once you get a truck, you really can't go back to a car.
I like to be higher up. Like I hate when I'm lower than everyone. I don't like that feeling.
I'm a big guy, so I know the feeling. If I'm in something small, no, I don't like that. I like
Yeah.
feeling cramped up.
Yep.
Restaurant or eat at home?
Restaurant.
Okay, I thought you'd say eat at home.
I do eat at home a lot, but if I had to choose, then I like people to bring me my food, and I don't like to cook it. I cook a lot, but if I have choice, then I'm not gonna cook.
What's your favorite kind of food? Mexican, Italian, what?
Probably, probably Japanese food. I really
Yeah,
like a hibachi grill. Some that's my favorite stuff
that's a
right
good
there.
choice. That's a good choice. Me, pizza, tacos. I love them too much. I had to stop eating them
Yep.
because it wasn't going great.
Love some tacos. Yep.
God, yes. Gym or home gym?
Home gym.
Hmm. I don't think I would do it. I need to be in the gym to feel that motivation, I think still.
People say that. I honestly don't feel like that. Like I go to a gym now, but I also have weights at home. But I really want that's one of my goals is to have like a whole room where I have like the whole weight set up. I love it. I'm kind of a weird person to work out because like I like to like, work like go do a set and like come back to my computer and do stuff and then like I'll go do another set. I don't know. I know people
You
are like, I have to be in the mode, but I'm like, I like to randomly do stuff.
you get yourself energized, right? That's what you do.
I do,
Like, I
yeah.
got this. I got this. Let me get
Yep.
this.
Yep. I get a good pump and then I make the call.
It's the mindset.
Hmm.
Last little rapid fire question: growth or comfort?
Growth for sure.
Good answer. A lot of people, I don't know. I think it's sub two. A lot of people do want to say growth, but I think a lot of people outside of sub two will probably say comfort, just
For sure.
because they're not always used to having the opportunities sometimes that come their way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
It's
with you
hard to
there.
get, I think it's hard to get uncomfortable, right? It's can be, I mean, the little world is uncomfortable. So I think it's hard for people to push their limits and they like to be cozy and do the same things day in and day out. And when they get pushed out of that little box, it can be super uncomfortable and they just want to run back into it. So I think it's important
So
to, if you're not doing something every day that makes you, gives you a little anxiety, makes you a little uncomfortable, makes you sweat a little bit, then you're probably not moving forward or progressing in life.
I so agree. Comfort's a killer. But I do like the little phrase you have that you always say. What's the little phrase you always say?
What do I say?
Take an imperfect action. Did I think about that wrong?
Yeah, that is a thing. That's the name of my little live I do every Wednesday. Yep, you got to take some imperfect action.
That's the only way to grow. You can't go to the
It is
gym expect not to get sore.
exactly.
Wow. Well, cool. Thanks for doing the rapid fire. We'll do our little end segments here. Almost stuttered there for a second. But for our listeners, for the people watching this as well, what is one very specific thing that you can share with someone who's barely starting off in this creative, broad real estate world?
Yeah, I would say don't make the mistake that I did and hold off or try to do everything yourself, especially if you are in the Sub2 community. There's what, 11,000 people in there. Like, if anything, go find a battle buddy where you guys are on the same page, you guys are checking in every day. I think it's really easy to lose energy in this business and get knocked
Yes.
down, right? It really is a roller coaster. One day you have day full of phone calls where everyone's like, I don't want to talk to you. And it can be really discouraging and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere. So I think to be a part of a team or to have a battle buddy or someone that is going through the trenches with you is so powerful. And I wish I would have done that sooner.
So true. Although I do find curious that when I speak to new people or just people who've actually been with Sub 2 for a few months, they still struggle to find a battle buddy, which I find curious at times. What do you think? Have you heard a lot about that?
I haven't heard that, but I will say the reason why I think I struggled is because I think you can, in my experience, I felt like I had imposter syndrome. So I felt
Ooh,
like maybe I wasn't worthy of, like, before I did a creative deal or anything like that, or really had a business going, I felt like maybe I wasn't worthy to go talk to people, right? Because I didn't have anything to spout to them. It's like you didn't have
wow.
anything going on. So I didn't want to go put myself out there because maybe I just felt self conscious or just an imposter, right, in the community. So I think it's probably a lot of that going on.
That's a good point. I didn't even occur to me to think about that way, but truly a good point.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome hits you anywhere, no matter what, and you really do your own personal value. You start thinking that your only value when you have someone at your side or something like that, which is crazy to think about.
Exactly. It is
But
crazy.
I can't say I haven't done it myself too. So that was me in the past also.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. Then, are there any upcoming projects that you're working on that you want to share or excited about that you want people to listen or pay attention to?
Um, we have several deals up for assignment right now. I think we have 7 deals that we're looking for in buyers. So if anyone wants to buy some creative deals, they're mostly in Texas. I think we have one in Ohio and somewhere else. But deals up for assignments. Like I said, I'm super excited about buying a creative property in the Dallas area. So that's one of my main focuses. I keep telling everyone I talk to, hey, I'm looking for this in hopes that someone brings me the perfect house. So that's what I'm excited about right now.
That's awesome. I really hope you get it. You're gonna love Dallas area
I'm
compared to
so
West
ready.
compared to West Texas. I don't think I told you, but I'm from Midland, Texas, so it's a
Uh,
huge jump.
it, it is. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Then, well, I guess I'm gonna add one more question. So, are there any kind of books that you recommend, or is there a certain book you're reading today?
Reading is something that I've have fallen off lately. I think it's easy as an entrepreneur where you get so caught up in the hustle, right? Like I've on this, I'm not saying this is a good thing by any means. I've created bad habits lately where from like the minute I'm up, I on my laptop to the minute I'm going to sleep, my laptop's in front of me and I'm doing something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's not a good habit. And so I've had a hard time making, or I guess I just don't make the time to read and do things that I should. So that's something I need to change. I used to read a lot. Let me think of a book that um, man, there's so many books. I'm like drawing a blank right now of what the last one I even read. I'm reading, actually, I still have one playing. It's, what is it called? It's something about stories. I, if you listen to Pace, he is an extremely good storyteller.
Yes.
And so I got obsessed with becoming a good storyteller. And let's see, I started this book. Where is it? It's about telling stories.
I'm gonna have to get that on my list because I need to practice being a better storyteller too.
It's such a powerful tool. Oh, you know what? I think it's on mine.
Oops.
There's so many storybooks out there now too, just telling you how to craft good stories and how to get your point across. And I cannot find the book that I'm reading right now. I don't know where I. Oh, one that I would recommend is reading Rocket Fuel.
Oh yes,
Have you
that's a
read?
good.
You read
Yes.
that one?
Hmm.
And that one is powerful to just know who you I think people struggle with that. It's kind of going back to the avatar thing, right? Figuring out I think people try to force themselves to be something. Like I think I see a lot of integrators trying to make phone calls and they struggle really hard with it.
True.
And maybe you start doubting yourself, but I think that book will show you like maybe you're just not that person, and that's okay because businesses need both sides to thrive, right? So reading that book definitely hit a light bulb for me for sure. I
I
can't
love
find the storybook that I wanted to share
this.
with you, but
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that because I was talking to Orlando the other day. Orlando Diaz Jr. He's over here
mhm,
in the W area and he hosts meetings too. But he was saying
yeah,
that book, Rocket Fuel, really changed his life in such a beautiful, great way, and it even helped him get closer with him and his wife and the relationship and how they communicate better, understand the roles a little differently. So I love that you're
yeah,
talking about that.
yeah. I think it does help you define roles in your business, even with spouse or with your business partner, right? It helps you just define, like Myron says all the time, right? We leave the systems to him, and he's like, I let Jade get on the phone because that's what she's good at, and I'm handling the systems. And I think that just works really well when you know your strength and you know their strength, and then you just rocket fuel from there, right?
That's awesome. Well, we can wait on the other book, but I'll probably just ask you on Instagram later on if you remember it, because I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
I do want to get better at storytelling myself, and that's something I need to do. The book I've been reading here lately was the Bird book by David Green from Bigger Pockets, just because I
Hmm.
mentioned that as well, and I'm just reading through it just because I like to read.
Yeah.
So to that, I guess for the last question here before we end it, for our followers, for the people who are listening, where can people find you if they want to subscribe to you or follow you or ask you questions?
Yeah. My Instagram is on my name, at underscore not so jaded. I am pretty active on Instagram. I try to post a couple times a week. I'm super active on my stories and love when people DM me and ask me stuff. I try to get back to everyone pretty quickly. I recently, in the past few weeks, have started going live on YouTube every Wednesday. And now, due to this whole Project Forward thing, I'm going to kind of switch out my vibe. So I think one Wednesday I will interview someone, and then the next I will just do live calls. So yesterday I spent an hour just live calling on listings. So it's helpful for people that need to hear how someone else talks to agents. I'll do that. So I'll just kind of swap back and forth every Wednesday, and you can find that at the same tag underscore not so jaded on
Nice.
YouTube and Instagram.
That's awesome. Real quick, do you want to talk about your podcast and what you're trying to build with that?
I don't know quite what I'm trying to build with that. I mean, I'm going to keep running with the taking imperfect action. So just based around that, I think there's a lot of, I guess, mindset podcasts out there. So I kind of wanted something that was more about what's the actual action taking look like, not
Yeah,
just the mindset. And obviously both important, but I like the action taking side of things. So I think I need to think a little bit more about what my goal is in interviewing people. I don't think I've thought about that enough. But we're taking imperfect action and jumping in and doing it.
that's the point, right? Taking imperfect action to get that result.
Yep, exactly.
Well, I can't wait to see more of what you're doing and keep up with you. And I appreciate you being here. Before we end
Absolutely.
it, is there anything you want to ask or talk about real quick?
Um, no, I guess I just want to put it out there that we are always open to JVing with people. So if anyone needs help with deals, whether that's closing, whether that's underwriting, whether that's dispoing, we do it all. And we love teaming up with people and getting people their first deals or helping people in their next deal. So if anyone needs help with any of that, feel free to message me and I would love to connect and talk about what deals you have going on.
That's awesome. That's friggin' awesome. Very kind of you. Very awesome. I guess we hit the end point here. We have some great information, and we talked a lot about what it means to be in the creative world and a little bit about what books we read.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and end it here, and I'll see you. I'll see you here soon.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.